Hello, once again, I am back. I am excited to be showing you that once again I have changed my location for my videos because every single month or so I go through the I go through this thing where I just have to switch everything around. I guess it gives me a sense of there's something new in my life. So I just change the furniture everywhere, and now my art space is actually back where it was on my very first vlog in 2023. So yeah, I kind of just did a full circle and now we're here with my bookshelf in the back and my desk in the front, which by the way I'm so excited about because I thrifted it like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and I've been wanting one of these. I think it's called a writer's style or writer's desk. They're just so expensive whenever I try to find them. I've been looking like on Facebook Marketplace, stuff like that, but they were always really expensive, and then I found it on a thrift store. So yeah, I am so happy that I've got it. It's so perfect. I love that it looks old and it has all these little places where I can store things, still jars and everything. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. So that's like my little update for today. And actually, it's one of my two updates. The real reason why I'm here, it's because I am once again painting, and I think I say this almost every single time I come here. I'm going through it. I have been going about how I want to paint because, you know, if you're an artist of any media, there's always a point where, and then probably you go through this yearly, monthly, I don't know, but it's a frequent thing where you just feel like there's something off about your art. There's something that is missing. There's something that is just not feeling like it used to. And I saw a quote somewhere, I think it was on Pinterest actually, where somebody said, when you're going through this, when you're going through that stage where you feel like your art is lacking something, even though you're doing it the same way you used to do it, or at least you think you are, it's because you're in that point where you're ready to evolve to something else. So maybe trying something else, or basically your skill is getting better and it's time for you to update your method, kind of thing. I am not 100% sure if this is a fact. Like I said, I just saw that on Pinterest, but I think that makes a lot of sense. So that is why I have decided to believe. Every time I feel like I'm going through this where my art feels like something is missing, it feels a little bit off, then instead of just getting disappointed and feeling like I've lost the touch, I just feel like it's the opposite. It's time for me to go back, revise what's that I'm doing, what do I think I could improve on, what do I think I could change, where do I feel like I've grown and where do I feel like I have not. And it serves almost like a time for self-analysis. It's like, you know, I imagine myself as like I am my own company and it's time for some reviews to see how is everything going. I'm checking all the little areas, all the little things, and I actually found something. Because this started happening maybe like 2 or 3 days ago. It actually just started. Lately I've been trying to react as fast as I can instead of letting myself get into a slump or an art block. I try to, the moment I feel like there's something off, like I don't enjoy as much art right now, or I don't really like the results when I'm done painting, I feel like I immediately have to address the situation, because if not, I'll just let it happen for too long and then I'll hate it, and then that's when art slumps happen. So that is what I've been trying to avoid. Now, something that I have noticed, I have been working on a lot of self-portraits lately, and by lately I mean last couple months, like it's not a new thing. I personally love them. I think I talked about it before in a previous video where I went through some feelings where I at first felt like other people might perceive it to be weird, like I don't want it to look like I'm self-centered, or like all I want is to paint myself. It's not that at all. It's just, well, first of all, it's easier for poses and specific lighting. I can just recreate what I want to paint myself and use myself as a reference. But also there's a lot of paintings that I've been working on that are very personal to me. It's like a way of me telling a story of something that I've been thinking about, something I've been feeling, or even just emotions that I've been going through. So of course I feel like it makes a little sense to represent those very personal stories through myself. But yeah, I did go through a little bit of a phase where I was so self-conscious because I was just overthinking what other people might think. But then I remember some great ones of the past, some Frida Kahlo, some Van Gogh, and of course, not comparing myself, but just how self-portraits being a main thing for an artist is not new. It's been done a lot, and yeah, so I got over that. But it does also help me a lot to realize where I may be struggling a little bit, because there's no other face I know better than my own. I see it every day, I see it in the mirror, and it does help me a little bit when I go back and see my paintings and I feel like I don't like it. If I don't like a painting of my own face, then how am I gonna like a painting of somebody else's face? Like, you know, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if I feel like there's something off on the way I'm painting myself, the face I know the best, then obviously there is gonna be something off when I paint another face. So that also helps a lot for me to catch those little red flags that I have to work on. This time, I feel like it was a mix of things. One of them, it's that I had been trying a little bit of a new method for how I blended the paint. I personally really love a more impressionistic style where you can really see the brush strokes and they don't look that blended. They're not that realistic in a sense, if that makes sense. That has always been my favorite, and that is how I try to paint all the time. But lately I've been trying to experiment a little with more smooth blended skin tones and colors, and I do think that it was good to do that because it gave me the opportunity, first of all, to see if I liked it, see if it's something that I wanted to do with my art. And there's never a reason why not to experiment, you know, like, it's art, it's supposed to be for that. So yeah, I am glad I did it, but it did help me to also realize that once again I love the more impressionistic style, and it kind of made me miss it and reaffirm to myself, this is what I want to do, this is the style that I like, which also feels pretty nice because it's the one that I'm more used to, more comfortable with. So I don't think comfortable is a bad thing. I know a lot of times being in your comfort spot, comfort zone, is not always seen as a positive thing, but I think in this case, when it comes to doing something you love, I think it's perfect. So I am thankful for this little time I allowed myself to experiment with something new, and even though the result was I didn't love it, it still was a good thing because now I can go back to what I do love with a new mind, that now I'm sure this is what I want to do because I've tried other things, you know? Also, I think because of my media, I used acrylic paints. It works a little bit better with the more, less, I should say, blended style that I like to do, because acrylics dry really fast and I love to layer paints on skin tones and everything else that I'm painting. So when I'm using my acrylics and they're drying, it doesn't really mean too much. It doesn't really affect too much because I am not really blending too much. I am just layering on top of another layer, which I actually do prefer the acrylics for that because I do like that they dry fast, so I can just go immediately on the next layer. But when I was trying to blend more, I found it to be such a big struggle that I even considered giving up on acrylics. I was like, maybe acrylics is not the play. And I have the water-soluble oil paints that I have actually tried in the past and I did like them. But I can't even lie to you, there is something about, and maybe this is the same thing, maybe this is the negative side of being in your comfort zone, I don't know. But just thinking about not using acrylics and using another paint just kind of stresses me out. Even if I liked it, even if I think it looked good, even if the process was not hard, I am so comfortable with my acrylics that also I'm not used to waiting so long for paint to dry, because like I said, I love layer upon layer, and it kind of killed me a little bit, the fact that I had to wait for so long just to go on to the next layer when I want to be dry, because I didn't want them to blend. So yeah, I was going through it and I was just considering maybe I should give them another chance, the water solubles, and I might at some point for specific things. But then I just realized and came to the conclusion that maybe it's not the paint, maybe it's the style, and I just want to go back to my more impressionist style. I even went on I was stalking myself on Instagram, and I just kept scrolling down to see my past paintings, the ones that I did use that style that I like to do. And I missed it so much. Just looking at that art made me feel so happy, just to think like, see, I can do things that I like, because like I said, lately my paintings were not really making me feel very satisfied at the end. I felt like there was always something missing, like did I miss something? Am I not painting great anymore? So when I saw back to my older paintings, I'm like, I can do things I like. I can do things that I think look good and that I'm proud of. So I guess it's just time to go back to that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the point of experimenting. Sometimes just you find out that things were not for you, and yeah. So today I also worked on a portrait, because this is my first take going back to my more quote-unquote impressionistic style. I have worked on a couple that I can show here on the screen, where there were also some portraits where I used a more blended style, and I think you can see the difference with that and what I'm usually used to. I don't hate it, I just feel like there's something missing. I feel like the way that I use the paints layered and not blending them makes it feel more like, I don't know how to say this, but basically it makes it feel like more finished to me, even though obviously blending it would be more work. But to me, this is what looks like a finished painting. The other ones just looked always incomplete. I think that's the thing. Something in my brain just told me they're not finished, even though they were. And I was so afraid to keep adding things to the point that I would actually ruin them, that I would just leave them as they are. So I was never left satisfied. I felt like they were not finished. I feel like they were always missing that little thing that made them feel mine, because I'm not really obsessed with the whole idea of like having an art style. I think that's something that I used to be a long time ago, and I think every artist goes through that phase. But now I just focus on, you know, trying to do what I like and just having fun with it. But now that I did move on for a little bit from what I'm usually used to do, I did feel like, oh, maybe that is my style. And I'm just trying to do a style that is not mine and is not coming natural. And I think that was mainly the problem. So I am back to my usual thing. And I think it also allows myself to go a little more in depth with color as well, because when I was blending everything, and this is 100% on me, because I'm not used to blending. I don't really know how to work it well, and it's something I need to practice more to actually achieve that and get it right. But when I am doing my usual painting style, I feel like I can just layer and layer different tones, like more cool tones and warm tones, and the highlights and the shadows all on top of each other, rather than trying to blend everything into one thing with all of these elements together. I know it's possible, I know it's done, but it's just me. I struggle with that a lot, and that left me so frustrated, because I would spend hours on a painting and I feel like it all looked like just one color. I feel like my shadows were not dark enough, and my lights were not light enough, and my warms were not warm enough. It was a lot. So yeah, I am so happy to be back with my usual and I hope you enjoy watching my process for this painting. For now, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again next time. Bye!